This is a look at the SJCAM M20 camera, which arrives very well presented in this as a retail box, inside which is a pull-out tray which is absolutely jam-packed with accessories, fittings and of course the actual camera. Just to go through all the bits and pieces, there's a lens cleaning cloth, brackets, sticky pads, more brackets, fixings. Really, there's everything you could possibly hope for and imagine here. And all these accessories just fit together. This one slots onto a helmet, for example. This is the bike handlebar fixing bracket. Everything just fits together so easily. The grooves fit into the slots and then everything is held in place by these screws, and you don't need a screwdriver to fit them together because everything just screws in within seconds. And again, the same with this one that actually screws onto the handlebars. But I must point out I've got a broken thumb at the moment, so limited dexterity, and due to the arrangement on my handlebars I had to just remove this black plastic casing and use a screwdriver here. But that's not typical, though it does show that if you need to adapt things you can do, because everything is so practical and everything is so well designed. Now we need to have a quick look at the camera. This is it. Really tiny, ultra compact. It has the power button on the top, which also acts as the menu button. The shutter release button is this one here. Down this side we have the arrow keys, arrow up and down, which also act as selection buttons when using the menus, and there's also the Wi-Fi connection button there. It's a nice monitor on the back and speakers. Yes, speakers on a camera this tiny. This is the battery compartment on the base. Just flips out, and the battery has this little tab in it which makes removal very easy, even with cold fingers, which can be important when you're outside. And it just slides closed. Then on the other side there's the HDMI port, USB charging port, and a slot there for the micro SD card. And to use the camera outdoors, it pops into this waterproof casing. Like so. Everything's well aligned. You've got the lens at the front, the back closes, clips shut very tightly, and you'll now notice that the buttons are perfectly aligned on the case to operate the camera. So that's the power on off, the shutter release, and then the up and down arrow keys there, and the speaker and the other slots are completely enclosed there, making it watertight down to about 30 meters. This is the instruction manual for the camera. Unfortunately, I don't think it really does the camera justice. The camera has so many features and these are not really covered in the manual. The camera is very simple and very intuitive to operate. The main things you need to know are to press the power button to switch it on, and this also acts as the memory button. It's currently in camera mode, as you can see by the still camera there. Press it again and we're now in the menu mode. So you just use this button at the side to navigate up and down, and then choose the menus. This is the setup menu. Press the shutter release button to OK, and then you can go through and look at the settings. Because the instruction manual is a bit lacking, it's very useful that the menus here are so simple, intuitive and straightforward. You can set the resolution, which goes up to 4K, 2K, high definition 60 frames a second, 30 frames a second, a nice slow motion there at 120 frames a second, right down to VGA at 240 frames a second for really good ultra slow motion. Set that at speed. It's got loop recording, just like a dash cam, so this will record files of 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or you can switch it off. The gyro sensor for nice smooth recording there, on or off. Best to have it on. You can record with or without audio. Volume settings, day and time stamp on the footage, TV mode, which is PAL or NTSC obviously, on-screen display, video file format. Now I'm really pleased to see here that this records in MP4, not just the MOV files. These are much smaller and good for editing, so very pleased to see that. And there are all these other settings too. And these are just the general settings: date and time, auto power off to save the battery, bleep when adjusting the settings, screensavers frequency. You can also set a watermark if you want to use one, and set up your language there. The camera also has Wi-Fi, which is very handy for transferring files immediately. Just go back to some of the other settings. Remote control facility there. The car mode for using as a dash cam. Motion detection. Can be used underwater down to 30 meters, and the FPV, I think that's first person view. And again, there are some extra settings you wouldn't really expect on a camera of this nature: a burst mode, photo lapse, slow motion recording so you can play back at very slow speed. Video lapse is potentially useful when you're recording a long ride, for example, where you can take short bursts of video rather than filming constantly and filling up a card quickly. And there's even a playback facility on this camera, complete with audio. So lots and lots of facilities on this, lots of features, far more than I would have expected. But now the important thing is to see how it works in practice, so I'll pop it on my bike and take it out for a ride. This is the camera in use, now fitted to my bike. You can see the mounting bracket in use, and it just screws on here and can be adjusted using these screw fasteners, and no screwdriver is needed. All controls can be used with it in the casing. Switch it on by pressing the button. You can see there that it's switched on. It shows M20 on the screen, and then to start recording, all it takes is just a quick, simple press of the record button, and then you can see on the display there's a little red recording indicator there, but that's quite difficult to see while you're actually cycling. But there is also another one on the top of the camera there, and that's very visible to see while cycling. Then to stop filming, just press the button once again. The recording indicator then goes out and is replaced by a solid blue LED on the top. Very easy to use. All the controls are so easily accessible, very easy to use in action. And that's the view from the front. And here are some sample still photos. This is Tintern Abbey. You can see the exposure is good. The close-up photography is not quite so good, as you can see on the berries. The same in this shot as well. But the exposure is good, and the whole of this shot is in focus, as is this one as well. And a nice colour balance on the flowers. Then, after use, there's this simple drawstring case with a nice flocked finish inside and out, which you can pop everything into for ease of carrying. So the manufacturers thought of everything. A very nice kit indeed.